Namaste. Wish you a very happy Diwali from HR Shorts with Atulya. In my previous videos, I have spoken about multiple areas within HR. We started off with the HR business partnering video, and then we moved on to some center of expertise roles or center of excellence roles within HR, which was in the field of talent acquisition, talent management, and compensation and benefits. The video that I have for you today is on another center of excellence function within HR, which is learning and development. Now, learning and development is also known as training and development in yesteryears. But these days we hear the word L&D, right? And it's a very critical function for any organization to succeed. Not only yesterday, but today and fast forward into the future, this function is going to play a big role in making sure that organizations are successful. Now, before I go to the topic, let me set some context for you. And I start off by quoting John Naisbitt, who says that in today's world, the most important skill to acquire is to learn how to learn. And I would add one more piece to that by saying it's also equally important to learn what to learn. Because the world is moving at geometric progression. The external changes that are happening are at an external, at a geometrical progression. And if your internal changes are not going to happen, or if you're not going to match up to the pace of changes happening outside, you're actually going to lag behind. And during pandemic, we experienced that. There were so many changes happening in the external world. The business models got challenged for multiple companies. The way you used to sell inside a store suddenly transformed into selling virtually. All the learning and development programs started happening through a virtual platform, and today it's the way of life. And folks who were able to pick up those skills or adapt to those changes were the ones who came out trumps. So very clearly, as you can say, in my entire sentence that I used the word skills. And it is the skills that you acquire over a period of time with the changing times is what is going to make an organization successful. And this is precisely what learning and development function focuses on. Skills could be technical skills. So think about a programmer, there's a coding skill, there are different languages that you need to learn, or if you're an engineer working in manufacturing, there could be different technical skills that you pick up, or the skills could be behavioral. Behavioral skills meaning it could be interpersonal skills, it could be negotiation, it could be communication, it could be presentation, it could be multiple things. So very precisely, the starting job of an L&D person or anybody who's leading the function in learning and development is the person has to really understand the business. That's a very important quality that you need in a learning and development professional. Because the training and development that happens is not only for the benefit of the individual. The end state is the benefit has to be for the organization or for the business. So a very important role for the L&D person here is to make sure that they understand what the business requires in terms of skill sets, which is the process of training needs identification. So the starting point for any learning and development professional is, how do I really identify what is it that an organization needs? And it starts with training needs identification or learning needs identification. The second step actually is about designing what is it that I need to do to make sure those learning gaps are filled. Business might say, hey, I have added a lot of people in my organization. I've got a lot of new leaders in my organization. There are a lot of first-time managers. Hence, I need to work on building the leadership skills. So very clearly, need identified is building leadership skills. Now comes the design of the training program, where the professional would sit and understand and do double clicks on understanding what do we mean by leadership skills. What is it that we need to build when we are saying building leadership skills? That's where the design of the program comes in. And learning and development function is very well connected externally. There are so many instances where the design of the program actually happens in partnership with various consultants or various trainers in the external world. So you would be partnering very closely with various leaders who actually help you to get there in terms of the design. And once the training design has been completed, the third portion would be execution of those trainings. Those training programs that you're designing will get conducted. And last but not the least, there is an element of feedback, which is you're measuring the effectiveness of trainings. So these are the, like, in a nutshell, 4-step process, which typically a L&D person would always, in all likelihood, be accountable for. So the first thing that you require is you have to have very sound business understanding, because you are not doing training for the individual. You are doing training to make sure that the individual is ready to perform business results and take the business to the next level in terms of skills. These days we hear so much about skills of the future, and skills of the future could be behavioral, it could be technical, it could be related to digital, Industrial Revolution 4.0, which we keep hearing about. And L&D has to make sure that we are always, the game is always up on our side to make sure we reach there. So 4-step process. And we also talked about external connections. So this is one of the most externally connected functions, because you work with various trainers, consulting firms to make sure that you are actually delivering those learning needs for the organization. And L&D is very much a fast forward function, right? And these days we hear about 3 very interesting terms, and I want to touch upon them. First one is upskilling, second one is reskilling, and the third one is growth mindset. And it has become so important for any organization today to have a very clear focus on all the 3 pieces. Upskilling essentially would mean that I need to make sure that if I am working in an organization and if things are changing in my domain, I am pretty much up to date in learning them. And organizations are going to focus and make sure that the function or the business is future ready to deliver those business results. Upskilling is going to come into play. The second piece is reskilling. Let's be very honest, right? Today, world is changing. Things are going to change. Business models are getting impacted. The change is happening at a rapid pace. Artificial intelligence comes into play. There is a lot of automation happening, right? There's so much of digital and technology around us. There could be a situation where your skill becomes totally redundant. That skill doesn't add value anymore. In that case, what you do is you do reskilling. You make sure that you're learning, picking up new skills so that you are relevant. That's another piece where L&D makes sure that you are fast forward, future ready to take on new skills, to be as strategic as possible. And the third one is growth mindset, which to me is my personal favorite, which means you start with the belief that anything is possible. You can learn any skill set. And that's how L&D functions, right? L&D makes sure that you are given the right climate of learning in an organization where you can actually pick up those new skill sets on an ongoing basis. There is another element which we would have heard so much about, happening in organizations, which I want to touch upon, and is called leadership development. L&D plays a very important role in making sure you build the future leaders for your organization. Who is going to set the vision for your organization? Who are the people who are going to take you to the next level in terms of business results? It's going to be your future leaders. And how do you develop that leadership in your organization is a very systematic process. It's a very well-crafted, thought-out process where a lot of investment happens in terms of building hard skills, soft skills, all sorts of skills for leaders. And who does that? There's a huge element, or there's a big role played by learning and development to make that happen. Also talk about young talent in your organization. And every organization needs to make sure that they're investing in young talent, because they are your future, right? They are the future middle managers or first-time managers for you. And how do you make sure that they settle in well in the organization? They pick up all the basic skills, they understand all the important leadership elements as they start their journey, is another piece which is covered by L&D. So L&D function actually cuts across the entire organization. Think about senior leadership, think about middle management, think about junior or entry level workforce in your organization. The needs identification happens across levels. The design happens across levels. It could be technical skills, it could be behavioral skills, but the end state is to prepare leadership for the future. So let's talk about some of the qualities, right? We talked about understanding of business. And connecting with the customer. So business is your customer in this case. So very important piece for a L&D professional is to make sure they are very well connected with the business and they understand the business challenges. When they understand the business challenges, they'll be able to find out that there are certain challenges because of people in the organization. And that those people challenges could be because of lack of certain skills or lack of certain developmental areas. That's how you come to the point of saying that, hey, these are the things which I need to work upon as an L&D professional. Hence your understanding of business and your connect with the customers. Number two, the more and more you talk to your customers, the different functions that are there are the ones is what is going to make you a great L&D professional. If L&D is going to happen sitting inside the AC cabins, you are not going to get to the right solutions, or you are not going to prepare the organization. You have to be close to the business. You have to understand your customers very well. I would say the third piece which is important for any L&D professional is to have a very curious mindset. So if you have that curiosity of being a lifelong learner and you truly believe in growth mindset and you believe that, hey, I need to learn, you like to ask questions, you like to learn new things, and you try to bring new experiences for people, and you actually believe that people can improve. You want to create the best version of people in the organization, and you truly believe that capability is not a buzzword, but capability is very much a reality. People can learn new things. I think very clearly L&D is an area that you should think about. So curiosity becomes a very important piece. And I would say the last element among the qualities, which is also equally important these days, is your own facilitation skills and your own trainer skills. So in all likelihood, a L&D professional who's good would also be a good trainer themselves. They would be good facilitators themselves. So they like to connect with people and they like to make sure that they learn new things. So they are curious, they learn new things, and they also believe in imparting or sharing those learnings or training the people in the organization. So these four pieces become pretty relevant. And last but not the least, so L&D is in two parts. One, fast forward future ready skill sets. So what is it that I need from a strategic perspective for my business to become better in terms of skills? That's one. Second is also reactive, right? So it's also developmental training needs. And how do we get there? So every year you have appraisals, and what you have is also something called an individual development plan or a development plan, where some of the skill sets come out as areas of opportunity for you or areas of development for you. For example, somebody might be really good in technical skills but very poor in time management. So time management comes across as an area of development. And who helps you bridge the gap? Guess what? It's L&D. So they are going to have a training calendar for the entire organization where they'll run multiple programs. It could cut across technical, it could be behavioral. Sometimes it could be management development programs or leadership development programs which happen over a period of time. Sometimes it could be a coaching conversation. So there could be multiple ways to train people or give exposure to people or improve people. So training not only a strategic function, fast forward strategic function, but also a reactive function sometimes to bridge those developmental needs for you. Because if we don't do that, potentially you are not going to become a better version of yourself. So that's what I had for you today. And this is my bit or my bite or my short on learning and development. And I would love to hear your thoughts, views in the comment section. And would also love to hear from you on what are some of the topics which you would like me to cover. I have some very interesting ones in my mind, and I'm going to talk about them in the coming days. And once again, wish you a very happy Diwali from HR Shorts with Atulya. Stay tuned, do subscribe to the channel, and watch out for the next video. Thanks so much.